RG3, he told me that you guys have worked together. What's it been like? What's that relationship like?
It's definitely like a big brother for sure. He lets me know when I'm wrong, when I'm right.
Julio Jones clone in a lab.
Best teammate and to be as polished as I can. I look at it as I got time to actually be able to really have a great understanding, and whenever it's time for me to play, then it's time for me to play.
Shedeur Sanders has made it a habit to go ahead and reach out to the youth and support some of the young guys playing football. But interestingly enough, this time showing up to OT7, it wasn't just supporting the young kids. It was also meeting up with a mentor. And it's so interesting. It's just somebody who has been clearly mentoring, clearly walking step by step with Shedeur Sanders, but I didn't even realize it. And it's RG3, somebody whose efforts on the football field were, the backdrop to my childhood. And he was an inspiration and really set a new precedent for the mobile quarterback. Now, I want to start with this. This was March 25th, 2024, right? This is the backdrop to this whole situation when we get into these other interviews, right? This is the almost preamble to what we saw in the draft, right?
Yeah, I mean, the power shift is coming, so everyone needs to buckle up. All these college coaches have been running to the NFL because they're upset that the college players have a little bit more power and a little bit more say. Well, guess what? Those same kids that they're running away from are the ones that are going to be coming up the ranks and coming into the NFL in the next few years. So Deion saying that either Shedeur or Travis Hunter are going to pull an Eli doesn't surprise me at all. Look at what's happened this year. Caleb Williams goes to the combine, doesn't do anything except for meetings, doesn't even let the medical teams go out there and look at him because he says they don't need to. Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't do his pro day, doesn't do the combine, doesn't run a 40 because they don't need to. In today's age with the athletes and their mindset, they are empowered. They know that they can control their own narratives. They know that they can be a part of the media while they're still playing. So if the players that are coming up are saying these things and feel this type of way, you're going to see more of them pull an Eli and say, I understand that playing in the NFL is a privilege, but that privilege is earned through my pay or through my play. And the players right now understand that they don't have to do the status quo and they don't have to sit here and answer to whatever they're told to do anymore, because without the players, all of these sports leagues are nothing. This is the player empowerment age, and you're seeing it come into the NFL.
That's exactly right. I mean, some of that.
Hey, man, my man Ian Coleman in the live chat said I saw Shedeur and Jeremiah next to each other. Wonder if Barry would draft him or trade the pick so he can find a quarterback in 2019. And just as a side, because I saw this, we was going to talk about this at the end of the video, but my man in the live chat brought it up. I just want to point it out there that there's a possibility that Shedeur Sanders balls out, goes crazy. Now, I do want to point out it's gonna have to be 2027 for this man-child, and I mean man-child as in he's 6'4". He's the best player in college football as a freshman, and he's coming into his sophomore year. He's a dog. So just imagine, give 2 years, let Shedeur get nice, understand the Kevin Stefanski framework, and then you draft this demon. You draft this Julio Jones clone in a lab. Oh my God. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the relationship between RG3. I wanted to show you that video first before listening to this video and then going forward and then going back to show you what he was doing on draft night. Now, that was 2024. Remember, that was before the season even started for 2024. Now, we can talk about maybe, saying the NFL felt a certain way because clearly Caleb Williams is doing things, everybody else is doing things, and you see this year a lot of players having problems signing contracts. The Shamar Stewart situation, the Shedeur Sanders fall that inevitably had to only do with off the field stuff, and the worst thing he's done is drive fast cars too fast, right? So, but besides all that, we'll get deeper into that, but. Again, RG3 noticing and already sticking up for not just Shedeur Sanders, but the Sanders name. And this is what Shedeur had to say about RG3.
Then I seen RG3 team out here, so I said, yeah, I got to come see them. I was in the area.
Enough. RG3, he told me that you guys have worked together a little bit, talked a little bit. What's it been like? What's that relationship like?
It's definitely like a big brother for sure. He lets me know when I'm wrong, when I'm right, what I need to do. Pros, cons about everything with the quarterback position and what I need to know.
And obviously, I think you probably have a lot of connections to different people in the NFL who have done it before, like RG3. Do you try to keep that that advice to a smaller group, or you kind of listen to everyone? How's that work?
Nah, it's definitely, you definitely have to have discernment when it comes to everything, but it's more natural.
These camera angles
the
are kind of
advice I
nasty.
get, it come from a natural place, from people that I always talk to or that always been there for me.
And I guess it's interesting to wonder if Tom Brady is on that list of people that was already talked about. Obviously, the text message XYZ, but I think it's very interesting to note that RG3 was of that list, right? And I think that we haven't really talked about it a lot, maybe, but clearly RG3 was very vocal about it. Here he is, just showing up. He was actually on a Twitch live stream. Hey, they need to, hey, somebody, Kai seen that, Aiden Ross, Speed, whatever you streamer, son. Y'all need to get you got all right, but clearly you can see this on a potato. Can somebody get Shedeur saying he can afford it? I know he can afford it. Y'all saw Bucky pumping his own gas at the Deion Sanders compound. Get him one of them $30,000 backpacks they were showing off at Streaming University, please. Because this boy be streaming on potato, but here he is throwing up the wrist with RG3, doing it big, doing it large. Ian Coleman does have a question for you. So I'm going to ask you the video. Would you take Arch Manning or Jeremiah Smith? Because they're probably both going to be available in the 2027 draft. So, make that decision as you wish. But continuing forward, I want to speak about the relationship that was not only shown recently, and that was not only shown a while ago, but even more recently. Well, not even more recently, but draft time recently. And for somebody in Robert Griffin III, and I do want to preface this because I might have said, RG3 is corny. I disagree with some of his takes, X, Y, Z, right? RG3 is not corny because I disagree with his takes. There's people that I like that disagree with takes. There's so many athletes that are just like, hey, dog, probably not going to listen to you. Antonio Brown is going to go down as one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history, and his head is mashed potatoes, and he'd be saying terrible stuff. So it's a little, it's a little different, right? So I'm not going to agree with everything that RG3 says, and that's completely fine. My main gripe is that he's actually corny on the mic. Like whenever he's doing the commentary, it's just not my flavor. Some people don't like Tony Romo. Some people think Tom Brady sounds like Plank on the mic. I am not a fan of RG3, but it does not take away from the amazing athletic prowess that he's had, the amazing athletic career we have. I am not somebody who sits here and nitpicks careers and says, but he didn't do it in the NFL. He only had one good year. I like to look at full athletic careers, and you talk about someone who won the Heisman Trophy. I don't know how you say that's a failure. I don't know how you say that this isn't someone who's dealt with a situation. Please, I actually went back because I was making an RG3 video a few months back, and I went to look back at his first snap or his first dropbacks after tearing his ACL in the playoffs and what they made him do. Dog, just wasn't the same person. So if anybody knows about adversity, it's RG3. And if anybody knows how to deal with Mary Kay Cabot, apparently RG3 too. Let's hear it.
But I think, I'm not an idiot. I know a lot of people are writing me off as a player, as a quarterback, saying I couldn't do it. And to go out and show that I can, I think that proves a lot of people wrong. But ultimately, like I said, at the end of the game, I want to win games. And right now, I'm here with the Cleveland Browns, and I love these guys in this locker room. And I want to help them win here. And if I don't get that opportunity, then that's out of my control. I've done everything that I can to this point with the cards that I was dealt to try to put the best foot forward and let the chips fall where they may.
Now, apparently, the backstory here is that, Mary Kay in her illustrious, clippings or whatnot was talking not so positively of RG3. So RG3 looked right down the barrel of the MKC and said, look, dog, I'm a dog. So shout out to RG3 for doing that. And what do I mean when I talk about the day of support? Oh, wait, is this the video of... Oh, okay, no. Okay, I thought this was the video of RG3 going crazy. Oh, they played perfect timing as who's over there. Okay, so this is the stream. See, I'm telling you, the live stream. He just needs a better backpack because that was terrible, dog. Anyway, that was that. He's over there, you know what I'm saying, showing out for the people with the people. But let's take you all the way back to draft night, and I have a lot of people who I'm not sure if y'all are new. Obviously, clearly I have a lot of new supporters. And first off, thank y'all for the new supporters, the new people who watch. But clearly a lot of y'all are new because whenever I talk about Shedeur in the draft fall, I think some people's knee-jerk reaction is to think that like I'm some person who's like, oh my God, you think he's the greatest quarterback of all time? But I've never said that. I haven't said that. You can go look at what I said. I give in-depth, detailed opinions on how I feel. But I'm not going to keep doing that. I have videos that do that. Y'all can go watch those videos. What I will say at this particular moment is that not just me, but multiple NFL players, you know, former greats, Hall of Famers, yada, yada, yada. I can list off a bunch of names, but it doesn't matter because a lot of people are going to just think they're biased and in the pockets of Deion Sanders. But RG3, someone who is staunchly Christian and has a lot of opinions that probably don't agree and align with Deion Sanders in certain things. I'm not saying the Christian part because that is something that they align on. I'm saying his takes and things, they're not always pro Deion from the things that he says, but he was extremely pro Shedeur in this case. And I think that it's interesting to see that even someone who, you know, everything might not always align up when it comes to perspective, he's still there offering his level of perspective that I don't think many others can, being in his position. So let's start with this video that he released April 26th, right? Now, for, you know, we ain't here to talk about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, but I know his wife is infamous for being in the back and just staring at RG3 as he says stuff. Kind of weird. It's kind of odd. But if we can just get past that, let's hear him out. Let's hear what RG3 has to say.
Shedeur Sanders' confidence and ability is what the NFL craves. You have to be able to galvanize a locker room. And that's exactly what Shedeur Sanders can do. So why is he being punished by falling out of the first 3 rounds of the draft? Well, I'm not mad that Shedeur Sanders fell out of the first 3 rounds of the draft, but I am confused. Because his tape says that he's a first-round pick. His tape says that he's a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. So why are we sitting here now after the first 3 rounds and he hasn't been picked? It's about jealousy. It's personal. Deion Sanders, all-time great cornerback in NFL history. He's done an amazing job raising his sons, done an amazing job preparing them for the next level. Shedeur Sanders is prepared for this moment. I've got no question about it that whether he gets drafted in rounds 4 through 7 or he goes undrafted, he will have a successful NFL career. So why are we punishing Shedeur Sanders for the things that we absolutely crave, desire, and want from our quarterbacks?
Now, again, this is not me saying it. This is former NFL player, former first-round pick, one of the most historic rookie seasons in college football, NFL history, right? From a rookie quarterback. That's what he has to say. So when we get to these points, and you know, I make these videos, and I'm talking about the Browns, and I'm talking about these things, and because I haven't talked about the draft in a very long time. Like everybody, and some people comment like, "Oh my God, he's a 5th round." I'm like, dog, we're past that. Like we really are. But to go back and hear this being said, and again, y'all can look at, I don't want to get too deep in it. Y'all know, if you know, RG3 aligns himself with a certain demographic, we'll say, okay? We'll just say him and Acho. You know what they be getting down with, right? But we're not going to get too deep in that. So for them, yo, sell more. What's happening? For him to clearly see, like, this is a punishment. He didn't say, oh, well, you know, maybe it's a Shedeur problem. Maybe it's this, is that. He's describing it as a punishment. And I'm not going to go into the full clip because what is she doing back there? See, and this is the problem with the milkman. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. There's nothing wrong with loving milk, but when you got the milk as a prop in the background eating popcorn, we got a problem. Anyway, Shedeur Sanders is the most popular rookie in the NFL and is being set up to fail in year 1. This is what RG3 had to say. I know you can't read this because I took one. But anyway, 5th round quarterback, 1st round. I can barely read this. First round quarterback tape, but fell to the 5th round for the quarterback on the roster. Will get limited practice reps behind 3 quarterbacks, including a Super Bowl champ and Super Bowl MVP the Cleveland Browns acquired this offseason. Will get limited preseason reps with the worst O-line and limited weapons. Now, don't disrespect Joel Bentonio, but if there was one young man built to overcome it and succeed, it is Shedeur Sanders. And again, like I said, the outpour of support was very apparent on draft. And again, I think it's important to call this out because a lot of people took that as the opportunity on Shedeur Sanders. Like, you got to understand, like, being on Shedeur Sanders and being positive about Shedeur Sanders. And, you know, I try to be even keel about Shedeur Sanders, even though they say I'm not the Glazer, but whatever. I like to be honest about Shedeur. It doesn't matter. It's gonna bring views. Like, you can be negative and bring views. You can be positive and bring views. But Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders name is so, like, people want to and gravitate towards it. I'm not dumb in that. I know that's why, like, 75% of y'all watch it. Y'all just hear for the news. Show me about the Sanders. I'm not mad at that. Okay. But with that being said, understanding that RG3 took it upon himself to uplift him, I think it's important. I think it needs to be pointed out. I think it's really, again, telling that at every turn, besides people who are disconnected from Shedeur or just want to get their clicks off, it seems like they've found some sort of way to come to his rescue and come to his support. And to me, hey, I gotta assume that means he has some positive tendencies there. So, and these are NFL players saying this. So the message from Shedeur Sanders after going undrafted in the first round is exactly why he has the resolve, poise, and maturity to lead an NFL franchise. He didn't hide. He stood tall in the face of adversity and disappointment. This adds to his testimony. Again, I disagree with RG3. RG3 almost every single day. Every time I see him on Twitter, I have him muted on Twitter. I was tired of it because he be doing this thing where he be trying to talk about WNBA and he be talking about basketball and he be talking. I'm like, dog, just stick to football, please. I'll unmute you during the fall, RG3. But this is just too much, dog. But again, how far back does it go? This is a video from 2023. This is Well Off Media 2023. You know what I'm saying? With the coaches and whatnot. And guess who's here supporting? It's RG3. So shout out to him. This is not something that when RG3 speaks about this being when Shedeur speaks about this being like a brotherhood, a big brother, little brother situation, I think it cannot be understated what that means when it comes to how that relationship has been fostered. Now, last thing I want to speak about is actually about the first video we listened to. And again, remember the date, March 25th, 2024. So this was leading up to, spring football, or at the end of spring. Am I right? March, April. So leading up to spring football, right? Deion be talking, you know what I'm saying? So he was out there saying, hey, we're going to do this, do that. They're going to be first round picks, XYZ. Hey, Travis Hunter was a first round pick. Shedeur Sanders was slated as a first round pick. Didn't happen, but we know how that is. But I think it's important to understand that, like, you're not going crazy. We're not going crazy. Okay. Things happen in plain sight. I'm a very much believer in that, right? The conspiracy theory that you believe in, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's either happening or it's not. And it's a lot more in your face than you think. And I think this is one of those cases. RG3 is like, hey, Deion just basically said he has the power and is going to demand and dictate where his, kids and recruits are going to go when they get to the NFL. The NFL is not going to like that. Then you fast forward just a year, under a year, a year, a little bit more than a year when you get to the draft, and you see possibly the ramifications of that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that not, if everyone's saying first round talent, and the only offseason is an anonymous this and that, this was right in front of us. That's what I believe. I don't believe in, I believe in collusion, but I don't believe in, like, behind the closed doors, XYZ. I believe this is right here. This is the collusion. It's as simple as owners being petty. Hey, we're going to show you something. And I think it got a little too deep, and Jimmy Haslam just saw his guy and he had to scoop him up. You know what I mean? But That's dope. That's great. It's just something to think about when you talk about the ramifications of where it was. Shout out to RG3 and all of the things that I might disagree with him about. I think he hasn't been more spot on than the Sanders and the relationship that he's had. Obviously, they both share that relationship with God, that spirituality. I think that does have a really good opportunity to connect you. And I think it's important that because RG3 is someone who's important in his spirituality, the fact that he's open to taking Shedeur under his wings, I think that also has something to say about that, the discipline that requires and different stuff like that. So, good on him. And I think it's great that Shedeur continues to find more support systems, and more importantly, that support systems are there and available for him. Again, if you ask me, I don't want Shedeur to start. I don't want him to start at all. I want him to sit back, kick his feet up, keep the arm warm, you know what I'm saying? Show up at all these youngins, you know what I'm saying? Little 7-on-7s, little practices, become ingratiated into the community. Don't get rushed and forced out there. And then you come at, right, with the confidence, maybe at the end of the season, right? And you show the people what's going on. But hey, that's just my opinion. And my opinion don't really mean nothing. Yours does mean a lot. So comment down below. Let me know how you feel about it. Like the video if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy football content. Oh, about to get a hiccup. Be phenomenal. Continue to be great. Can't thank you enough for your support. And we'll see you next time. If you're here live, don't go nowhere, son.